Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Over the next 7 minutes or so, we are going to build a really wholesome understanding of a legendary mind. Now, have you ever thought of a historical genius as just a lone wolf? We usually picture this solitary poet sitting under a tree, discovering the deepest secrets of the universe entirely on their own, right? Well, today, we're challenging that popular myth of the self-made, isolated genius. We are going to look at the actual architecture of a poet. So that brings us to a huge question. Was Rumi's greatness mainly just pure personal talent? Or was it actually the result of the people who formed him? It is so tempting to think a legendary figure just drops out of the sky fully formed. But to really understand a mind like his, we have to look way past just the poems on the page. We need to explore that vibrant old library culture, the intense debates, and this incredible human engine that actually built his perspective. Rumi's ideas grew through relationship. We really need to keep this as our anchor point for this entire explainer. Family, mentors, and spiritual companions, they weren't just decorative side characters in his biography. They were the absolute necessary conditions that allowed his profound thought to take shape at all. And honestly, once you see that, his whole story just completely clicks into place. Section 1. Building the foundation. The first lenses of reality. Think about family for a second. It's literally our first language of trust, discipline, and meaning. It acts as the foundation of a house. You see, kids don't start out by just picking and choosing a worldview. They inherit one first. In Rumi's case, his father was a highly respected scholar. Because of that, from day one, learning and faith didn't feel like chores. They just felt completely normal. It was the air he breathed. This foundational worldview set the exact angle from which his entire incredible story began. But here's the thing, raw talent desperately needs structure. And this brilliantly illustrates why. Think of teachers like a river channel. Water can flow everywhere and just make a muddy mess, but a channel gives it forceful, powerful direction. Rumi's teachers connected him to Islamic scholarship, to law and theology. They didn't just hand him a list of dry facts. They gave his scattered energy a structure and provided the exact language he needed to actually articulate his deep insights. Without them, his potential might have just washed away. Moving on to Section 2, the transformative spark. Enter Shams of Tabriz. Picture dry wood for a moment. That is Rumi's carefully structured potential, beautifully shaped by his upbringing, just waiting there. Then, imagine living fire. Shams of Tabriz was absolutely not a conventional teacher handing out a syllabus. No way. He was a spiritual shock to the system. Shams was the match that hit that dry wood, turning those hidden depths into an intense, heated encounter. He didn't just educate Rumi, he literally rearranged him. Spiritual and intellectual growth often passes through tension before it becomes expression. Remember, real formation is rarely comfortable. Real influence unsettles you. Think of it kind of like stretching before a really long run. Stretching isn't running, right? But your body simply can't move freely without going through that uncomfortable pull first. Shams applied that exact, necessary tension to Rumi's perfectly balanced life, just to make room for absolute brilliance. Now, what's really interesting about this is how flawlessly this human engine worked. Your family gives you those familiar, formative first habits. Then teachers step in to organize your knowledge so everything is clear and structured. But the mentor? A mentor changes your inner direction. It's disruptive. It's catalytic. Rumi's engine worked so well precisely because these three completely distinct parts interacted perfectly with one another. Section 3. From influence to wisdom, digesting the ingredients. The difference between these two concepts is stark. Influence is external. It's like having all the ingredients just sitting there on a kitchen table. But wisdom is internal judgment. It's the cooked and fully absorbed meal. You can memorize external facts all day long, sure, but true wisdom only appears when teachings are internalized so deeply that they fundamentally change your character. It shifts from something you simply heard to something you actually are. And Rumi had this wonderfully multidimensional education to cook that meal with. Law and religious scholarship provided societal order. Ethics taught right action, and spiritual teaching guided his inward becoming. This balance is absolutely vital, because if you only have rules, you create rigidity. But if you only have feelings, you just get scattered cleverness. Rumi managed to hold all these traditions together, creating a truly unified, whole mind. Think about it like this. A child looks at a garden and sees flowers. But a gardener?
They see the soil condition, the water levels, the seasons, the care required. The physical garden hasn't changed at all. The depth of attention has. True wisdom changes how you notice reality. Because of his profound, layered education, Rumi was able to look right past outward forms and sense the inward reality. He could read the profound layers hiding beneath everyday life.
And that brings us to the quiet, brilliant power of tradition. Tradition is not just some blind, mindless repetition. Not at all. It's a memory system. It actively carries insights across generations, so each new learner doesn't have to start from absolute zero. Rumi wasn't operating in a vacuum. He was deeply connected to a living intellectual lineage. It allowed him to jump into a massive conversation that had started long, long before he was even born. Section 4. The bigger pattern, from receiving to becoming. Let's move to and see how this builds across 4 powerful stages of human development. First up, you receive influence from the outside. Second, you interpret it. Third, you actually begin to live from it. And finally, stage 4, you speak as if it had always belonged to you. This is exactly how Rumi's wisdom passed through his heart, his mind, and his life, until it was no longer borrowed tradition. It was his own living, breathing voice. Which leads us to Section 5, Reading Rumi Differently, the Ripple Effect.
So the crucial point is, this framework unlocks a totally new perspective for you. It completely explains why Rumi became this specific kind of thinker. It helps us distinguish his background from his actual fiery transformation. It proves that a spiritual life is built through relationship, revealing this beautiful continuity instead of buying into the lonely myth of the isolated genius. You are now equipped to look at any historical figure and see the vast root system growing right under the surface.
I want to end our explainer today with this provocative question for you to take away. What kind of mind produced this? The next time you read a beautiful poem or encounter a truly brilliant idea from the past, I urge you, never just see the creator on the page. Look deeper. Ask yourself what massive relational engine of family, teachers, and mentors made that incredible voice possible in the first place. Keep asking those questions, keep looking for the roots, and I'll see you next time.